Good morning, 45L. Welcome to reading for week 5. So in this short little video, we're going to unpack our learning intention for the week, our success criteria of the week. We're going to introduce the text that we're going to be using this week. And the text we're going to be using is The Littlest Refugee by Anne Doe and Suzanne Doe, and illustrated by Bruce Watley. It's the inspiring and multi-award-winning true story of Australia's happiest refugee. So we've been doing biographies, we know that, and we're up to week 4, and we've covered a lot of interesting material. So our week 5 reading, our learning intention, so what our goal is, what we're learning this week, is we are learning to identify the significant events in a biography and why the subject makes the decisions they do. There's probably some words to unpack in that. So identify, and what does identify mean? Does it mean recognise? So we can recognise, we can see, we can read the text, and we can ask questions of the text, and we can see why things happen. Okay? The significant events. What's a significant event? A significant event is something that is possibly out of the ordinary, that influences a decision. Okay? So a significant event, something out of the ordinary, something that you wouldn't consider normal, is what a significant event would be. Okay? And why the subject makes the decisions they do. So this is where we need to marry up significant events and why the person makes the decisions they do. So the significant events influence the decisions somebody makes. Okay? That's what we're learning this week. Okay? To be successful this week, I can explain why biographers decide to start and stop telling the story of a subject's life. We've spoken before about how not all biographies start when someone was born and go through every day of their life and then finish when they pass away. So The Littlest Refugee is a great example of that, because it starts when Anne Doe was little and it finishes not when he's an adult, not when he's been writing his weirdo books or being a comedian. It's only focusing on a small little snapshot of his life. Okay? So why do they start and stop telling the story? Yeah? Success criteria 2, I can identify the main influences on a subject's decisions. You'll see I made a little mistake there, but we don't scribble out our mistakes, do we? We just put a little line through it and then we keep going. The main influences on a subject's life. What could the influences be on a subject's life? Could it be where they live? Could it be the culture where they live? We know we've spoken about Marie Curie and about how where she grew up, girls couldn't go to university. So she had to leave the country, didn't she? And had to go and study in Paris, where girls could go to university. And she ended up discovering radium and polonium. Did the fact that she couldn't go to university in her home country influence her decision to leave? I think we all agreed that it did, didn't we? So that is an influence on her decision. Okay? Success criteria 3, I can analyse why the author has included particular facts about the subject. Analyse. So you can see something. So if you analyse something, you can find a particular fact about the subject and you can connect why that fact is important and how that fact has influenced somebody's decision, whether it be a war, poverty, it might be need. They might see a gap in the world somewhere and think, we need to fix this. That's something that influences somebody's decision, okay? So we'll go back up to the learning intention. So identify. We need to identify significant events and decisions. Oh, I've done a terrible job colouring in there, haven't I? Let's have another go. I probably should have underlined it like I did the other two, shouldn't I? Okay. I probably should have underlined it. Whoops-a-daisy. But we all make mistakes, don't we? So our learning intention. We are learning to identify the significant events in a biography and why the subject makes the decisions they do. This is what we need to marry up. These two. All right? How the significant events impact the decisions. To be successful, I can explain why biographers decide to start and stop telling the story of a subject's life. Success criteria 2, I can identify the main influences on a subject's decisions. Now, it doesn't have to just be where they live. What else can influence a subject's decisions? Family. Family can. Friends can. People can. Events can. You know, an event might happen to somebody. Let's talk about Batman. Those that don't know Batman, Batman's the Cape Crusader, possibly the greatest superhero in the world. Now, when he was a little boy, a mugger attacked his parents and killed his parents. So when he grew up, he wanted to fight crime. I would say that's a significant event that impacted Batman's life and influenced his decisions. If that hadn't happened, he probably wouldn't have become Batman. I know, weird, but it's a good analogy, I think. And I can analyse why the author has included particular facts about the subject. So again, if we're reading about Batman, every Batman movie usually has some reference to what happened to him as a child so that we know why he's doing what he does. Okay, if we just started a movie with Batman chasing the Joker around or the Penguin around and with no backstory, you would think, oh, well, he's just a guy who doesn't like bad guys. But when we unpack it further and realise that the bad guys did something to his parents that hurt him, and that was the influence on his life, or one of the influences on his life, yeah? So that's what we're doing this week. Identify the significant events in a biography and why the subjects make the decisions they do, okay? Rewatch this video each day. There'll be a link up each day for you, and yeah, we'll go from there. Stay tuned for the next one when we get stuck into the lesson. Cheers! Where's that button? Here it is.